Hey, what's up, guys? This is Aaron Jordan, Mr. Know Your Worth himself. I'm a relationship coach, I'm an author, I'm a motivator. We're going to talk to real people that overcame real issues right here on Cafe Conversations. Hey everyone, you're tuning into Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth. And we have the pleasure of having here with us today for a conversation, Dr. Scott. How you doing, Dr. Scott? You doing all right today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Aaron.
Awesome. And I always say I appreciate you having taking out time of your day, coming here to share with us today.
Absolutely. I am honored to be here.
Oh man. So we go back quite some ways, right?
We do.
We went to college together, and man, we got some stories for days, right?
We do. We have a ton of stories, and we have both grown tremendously. So exactly. I'm glad that we've made it to the other side.
Exactly. So here on the show, I always like to have the audience actually get familiar with who we have on the show. So just give a little background story of who you are and what you do.
Yes, so I recently became Dr. Carjamin Scott.
Come on
I
now,
graduated with my EDD in 2018, and over the past few years, I have gained a career in college admissions.
Wow.
So currently I work as the Director of Admissions and Recruitment for Tennessee State University.
TSU.
And Aaron, I mean, I just let my light shine, and I am someone who has worked my way up from our college days to now becoming in this role that I'm in right now.
Awesome. So oftentimes I tell they consider me the relationship guy. So I always like to tell people that your story is not meant for you; it's meant to empower others, as I've shared before on this show before. So I want to kind of let people understand and know who Dr. Scott is, because now people just see the now. They see the accolades, they see the degrees, they see the being successful now. But where did it all start for you?
So first, call me Carji.
Hey, Carji.
And where it started, so I come from very humble beginnings.
Yes.
Born and raised on the south side of Chicago.
Chirac.
Then moved to Memphis for college, and now I'm in Nashville. And my college education saved my life.
Wow.
It opened doors for me. I had an opportunity to meet people from other places outside of the block of 35th and Calumet in Chicago.
Shout out to
the south side of Chicago. And I've been able to break generational curses. You know, now I am a married woman, been married for 6 years.
Amazing.
To a husband who will soon become a periodontist. Have two children, a daughter and a son. And I am the first person, Aaron, in my family to graduate with a high school diploma.
Wow.
Let alone a terminal degree.
Wow.
And be a successful wife and mom.
Wow.
So my story is unique, but again, I am a survivor.
Yeah.
I'm someone who lets her light shine, and I have a 100% success rate.
Wow. And when you think about that, just looking at your story, because there's other people out there that are going through the same thing, that's going through the same, what I call the emotional woes of life. And so you mentioned something, you said that education saved your life.
Absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So I didn't necessarily have a family of PhDs and EDDs and medical doctors.
Wow.
My family, we grew up, my father was from Manila, Philippines.
Okay.
He met my mother in a GED class.
Wow.
My mom was an African-American woman. She was a victim of domestic violence, and I ended up losing my mom when I was 6 years old. So I didn't necessarily have her as a mother figure in my life. So I learned what not to do. I learned what types of relationships I did not want to be in, and the type of relationship that I wanted my children to see. So I picked a husband that I felt would be the best partner, relationship-wise, business-wise, and friendship-wise.
Wow.
And my bet paid off. I rolled the dice, and I
just
won. Yeah, I won. I lucked up.
And the thing about it is that there's some people going through that right now, but you have to get to the point of being able to, because you attracted that into your life, and so you had to get to a point where you were able to deal with your transgressions, your issues, your emotional woes too as well. So for someone that's going through that right now, that's at that crossroad in life where they're looking at like, okay, well, I want something better, but my situation is not giving me the opportunity to get something. But what do you say to them?
I'm glad that you used the terms issues and emotional woes, because I had them and I still have them. Okay,
we all do.
Just because I'm Dr. Scott, it does not mean that my puzzle pieces are all together. I am still learning. I'm still growing. I still face issues that are helping me build resiliency. And I think it's important that you face those things head on, and you're not afraid to fail and learn from your failures and your mistakes.
Wow.
And I have fallen and had my fair share of failures. But it is, yes, but I think it's because I always get back up, which is why I said I have a 100% success rate. Is why I have been able to build this life that I have attracted.
Yeah, and so and you said something too as well about falling, and me, I can attest. I've fallen and I fell several times too as well. And so just when I was going through those moments of depression, when I was going through those moments where I didn't understand my value, who I was, too as well, there was a moment where in my life where all of my relationships that I had at that particular time, it ended the exact same way. I was projecting my pain onto them, onto the next person, instead of me taking accountability, taking ownership of my emotional woes, my hardships, and looking at, when I'm pointing at somebody else, three fingers are pointing back at me. So being able to do that helped me to deal with some of the things that I've dealt with in my past too as well. So let's expound on this a little bit. I love the fact you said that education was a focal point in your life and it saved your life. So how did it make you feel like at that point in your life, you being the only one in your family to have a focal point of education?
Well, it makes me feel grateful that I took advantage of my education, that I took the time to go to college and continue my education, because it's something that no one can ever take from you. I mean, jobs come and go, but your degrees, no one can take those from you. And education is the first thing you need to become whatever you want to become. A lawyer, a doctor, a police officer, the list goes on and on, a teacher. So that's why I fell into the career of director of admissions. And ongoing. I've done I'm like you say, you're the relationship guru. I'm the admissions guru. Every title that you can have in college admissions, I've done it. I've done it. And it's because since education saved my life, I want to save the lives of others. I want to help other Carjamins from wherever they're from go to a school and meet new people and use what they've learned to get their career, but also get personal development as well.
Wow, that's key. That's key. So you say you're from Chicago, right? So how was that transition coming from another state to here in Tennessee at such a young age, and being able to find your own and things like that?
So again, I'm from Chicago. My father's from Manila, Philippines. My mom's an African American woman. I'm from a multiracial, multi-ethnic diverse family. None of my brothers and sisters look alike. I mean, Christmas was Popeye's chicken, turkey, and lumpia, which are Filipino egg rolls. Don't sleep on Popeye's chicken. So that was our Christmas. So coming to the South was different because people were either black or white. Like there is no mixed or no, you're either light skinned, dark skinned, black or white.
Exactly.
And that was a culture shock. But I've always been the type of person to look at people beyond their skin color and try to find what I have in common with somebody regardless of their background. And since I've always leaned on that, that's worked for me.
Wow. And so let's go for moving, saying like, okay, from getting your degree to transition. How was that transition in achieving the success you've had in education? To how does that play a role, a factor on relationships and things like that? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of focus going on to being doctoral programs and your master programs and things like that?
Well, as it relates to relationships and degrees, so my husband is still working on his degree to become a periodontist. He's also the first in his family to go this medical route.
So that's common ground between the both.
But it's been hard because as a woman, sometimes you're looking for a man who's going to be a provider. And that might be the only thing you're looking for because that's what you think, that's what you're supposed to go for. But everything has fallen on me while he's been in school. However, I recognize that that is the role that I'm in currently, and it will pay off later on.
And you said something right there because it kind of puts you, I want people to understand that, you know, certain things, you know, relationships have a certain way of playing out, you know, and it puts us in a position where we have to like feed off each other, and we have to be in a position to where one can carry the other, but understand that it's not the noun that's the major factor. It's that end result that we have to look at.
And it's also not listening to the naysayers, the single women who don't have a partner at all, who are saying you have a partner and your partner is not even bringing home the bacon, right? And not listening to my own family of single women, strong women. Once again, I had mentioned that I've broken generational curses. My mom was a victim of domestic violence. My aunts, my grandmother, other people in my family, I didn't necessarily have relationships to look towards to try to emulate so that my relationship could be like theirs. They were looking for people who were going to take care of them. So I had to really explain to them how this relationship is valuable, how it's going to pay off, how that's not the only reason why you get into a partnership with someone is for monetary reasons, how this man is providing for my family in other ways, not just monetary. I'm talking about love, support, encouragement when I'm having a rough day, cooking, cleaning, things that...
Come on now, you know, when we get ready to cook now, you know.
Right, things that in a partnership, you play your role. And I wasn't necessarily taught that or got to see it, but I knew the life that I wanted for myself, and I knew what end result that I want. And that's what we're working towards. And so I finally now, 6 years later, he's still in school and has a few more years left, I am seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, periodontists make decent money, so
come on now.
It'll be okay. Like, we'll be okay.
But the thing is that for someone that's right now in that position, that's in a position that's looking like, okay, well, I see the now, but I can't see the end of the tunnel or whatever. What do you say to that person when they're in a position of wanting to give up?
I say focus on the end result. I say live day by day. I say to trust in yourself, your gut, and your faith, and X out the naysayers. Because there's always going to be someone around trying to convince you otherwise, convince you why your time that you're spending to get to the end result isn't worth it. So just have faith in yourself and what you can control and do the very best you can with what you have right now.
That was amazing. Guys, we'll be right back on Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth.
I've been fortunate to live in Middle Tennessee all my life. I love the culture, the people, and the Southern traditions. People often ask, why are you so passionate about what you do? It's simple. I love people. I've been privileged to serve the Middle Tennessee area as an award-winning, top-producing realtor since 2011. My name is Gabrielle Garner, and I'm here to lead you home. Call today for your complimentary consultation.
Today's show was brought to you by Tennessee Minority Pages, your one-stop shop for minority businesses. Hey guys, welcome back to Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth. And we have the pleasure of having Dr. Scott, Dr. Carjamin Scott, here with us for a conversation. How are you doing, Dr. Scott?
I'm good.
You doing okay?
I am. How are you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing wonderful. See, everybody can't just come and say, "How you doing, Jordan?" You know,
we go way back.
That's that commonality,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So, but before we went to commercial, or before we went to a break, we left off on where we was about to get into some real deep stuff. So we left off. We was talking about faith.
Right.
How in your transition? Because I mean, coming from a family where you're the first in your family, in your generation to graduate from high school, then go on to college, then get a master's and things like that. How did your faith play a role in transitioning through all those levels?
Aaron, I know who God is.
Wow.
I can confidently say that because there have been times where that's all I had was to lean on my faith. Times where I didn't know what my next step was going to be, and the only thing I had was a staircase to walk down or up with no lights on.
And a lot of times people don't understand. People have to get to the point of understanding that they have to be connected to their source, because the thing is, we try to move and operate in our own power, in our own strength. And sometimes operating our own power and our own strength, that weighs us down. And we need to lean on our faith to kind of, not to counter, but to transcend and try to meet those obstacles and head on. Being able to sit at the table of our pain, sit at the table of our hurt. I know, and just you talking about that kind of just brought something with me in my own story. It wasn't until I got to the point where I was able to face my hurt. I was able to face my depression. I was able to face 3 failed engagements before I actually got married. You know, it wasn't to the point when I had to face that stuff. When I was able to face it and admit it, let it project out of my mouth, and let that seed plant into the earth. And now letting to say like, okay, well, so it was like a monkey that was off my back. It was like, you know, like a sigh moment. So in that moment of me releasing that, you know, I had to depend on God. I had to depend on my faith to get me through as well. And like I say, I always like giving out advice to people that are going through that now, because it can be someone that's here watching this program right now that's going through the same thing, that's going through their doctoral program, and they don't have 2 nickels to rub together because everything is going into school. What do you say to them?
I say to trust yourself, to trust your creator, trust your higher power. I say to focus on what it is you want instead of what it is you have right now, so that you can take the steps to get to where you want to be. And I say that don't be afraid to fail, because after you fail, the only direction you can go is up.
You just got to get back up.
Right. But you have to fall. Like, I have a 2-year-old, and we just taught him to walk last year, right? And he used to fall all the time, and we just let him fall. And children, they get right back up again. They are so resilient.
And that was a good analogy, because, you know, just like you said with children, you know, they going through that transition stage. They have to go through those stages where they're toddling and things like that. They're gonna fall. Just like with us in life, you know, we're gonna fall. But the only way we're defeated is if we stay down. You know, just like with you didn't stay down. You transcended above all of those obstacles to over those generational obstacles too as well.
And if you are afraid to get up for yourself, get up for someone else. You never know who's watching you, who you can serve as a mentor for, who needs to hear your story. So even if you don't have the power to get up for somebody else. And you said a lot there, because I think the thing is that a lot of people don't understand is that your story is not meant for you. It's meant for others. It's meant for others to hear your story, hear the successes of your story, because that can be the very thing that they need to transcend to also. And so let's talk about this too as well. Now, going to the point where now you have your master's. Now you're going into your doctoral program. I already know the stresses of going into that. going into that program, the amount of focus that you have to have. Let's talk about that. How did you deal with that? So my situation was unique. Everything in my life is unique, of course. Again, I graduated with my Doctor of Education degree in 2018. My son's birthday was on my graduation day, his second birthday. So I was pregnant in our doctoral program. I also had my daughter.
Level up to
my daughter was 3 years old. My husband was in his dentistry program. And so 2 parents, both in terminal degree programs with a child and a half, soon to be 2 children. And how did I get through it? Because I knew what the outcome would be if I wouldn't get through it, I got through it.
Wow.
So if that makes sense, I basically just wanted to I was so focused on getting it done and the end result and the outcome of getting it done that I did not let anything stop me from getting it done. And then I have 2 little people watching me.
They're watching you. They're like their role model. They're looking at mom to say like, okay, well, if mom can do it, I can do it. Or if dad can do it, I can do it.
Or both of them can do it, so we can do it.
Exactly. You know, so it's like we're like their superheroes at that age, you know. And like with my daughter, like it wasn't until I didn't even think when she was younger that she was watching everything I was doing until the fact of me seeing her actually sit at the table and say, okay, well, Dad, here's my book. I wrote my first book. And like she really wrote like sentences. And she was like 6 or 7 years old. And I was like, okay, we're gonna publish this.
They watch everything you do. I remember watching the things from my childhood and having pain from them.
Wow.
And I don't want my children to grow up like that.
Wow.
So I am very intentional and strategic about the relationships I have with my friends, what family I bring around.
Wow. Anyone that's in your circle.
Absolutely. Anyone that's in my circle, and just who I am as a person.
Wow.
What I choose to be ungrateful for.
Wow.
There are plenty of people who would love to be in the situation of having 2 children and being a doctoral program and their husband's in a doctoral program. So I don't want to take that for granted. Well, how dare I complain about something that is really a blessing, although it's hard. Although I lost sleep at night, although I spent a lot of time studying and couldn't go to a party or whatever and what have you, how dare I be ungrateful for this? And sometimes you have to go through long suffering before it'll pay off. And I was and am still willing to go through that so that I can get to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Wow. And so, Dr. Scott, you sit on several, you have affiliations with several organizations. There's one organization that you actually sit on a leadership board with. It's called the Equity Alliance.
Yes, the Equity Alliance.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so the Equity Alliance, we work to increase voter engagement. One of my top assignments that Charlene Oliver, one of the executive director of the Equity Alliance, has given me is the Black Citizenship in Action Schools, whereas we get the community together and we inform them of their rights as African Americans.
Wow.
Of course, voting, where their heritage is from, and just everything as it relates to their citizenship.
Wow. So it seems like a lot of things as like you're, not only are you in education, not only have you transcend through some of the obstacles, but you're pouring back into the community as well.
Yes. You know, if it weren't for mentors, particularly the ones that I met in college and just throughout school, I would not be the person that I am today. I may not have been able to look at like my mom and her relationships, but I was able to look at the relationships of my mentors, of my friends' parents, of just others. And so I feel that it's important for me to give back to the community because I don't know who's watching, and I could affect the next Carjamin.
Wow. And how effective do you, for someone that's listening now that's maybe going through their sophomore year of college, that's at, like I said, at that crossroads, how effective do you think that having a mentor and the type of mentor, because you can have a mentor but you can't be effective, how effective do you think it is having a mentor in your life that can really cause impact?
It took me a while to understand what a mentor relationship was, that is give and take, that is not always me looking up to that person and needing something from that person. It's 50-50. So it's also, how can I do volunteer at your business that you own, if my mentor is a business owner, or do you have kids that I can babysit so you can have time off, or just it's give and take.
It's also a small, minute detail.
It's about creating a relationship.
So a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand that, you know, with relationships, it doesn't just actually mean like the physical or the intimacy part of a relationship. It actually mean like the relationship that falls with your job or advancement in your career. So how have key relationships that you built over the years, how has that played an impact in you advancing too as well?
I had to know who I was to know what I could give.
Exactly.
And I had to understand who I was having relations with, if they were worthy of a relationship.
Wow.
Because there's different types of relationships, acquaintances, and then even with mentorship, there's also sponsorship.
Yep.
So it has taken me time to grow and learn who I am, so that I don't give too much or give too little or give to the wrong people, so that I'm not taken advantage of, or others.
Wow.
I don't take advantage of others. So yes.
Wow, awesome. Carjamin, we also have a segment, Dr. Carjamin Scott. I was in that little comment moment. But here on the show, we have a segment called Ask Mr. Know Your Worth. So that's where we take in questions from our audience online via social media. So I think we had a question that actually came in. You want to take a chime in?
Yes,
Let's do it. All right, so let's see. Okay. Oh, it's a great one. So the question was, and I really appreciate you guys chiming in with your questions as well, how do you balance a relationship and still wanting to have that successful career? I'll let you take a stab at that one first.
Wow. When we talked about failure, that was one of the things that I fallen on many times.
Wow.
Many times I had to rely on my faith and say, God, keep my mouth closed. Let me keep this man in my life. Let me do what I'm supposed to do. It's hard as women.
Yeah.
It's hard to be the mom and sometimes the breadwinner and the wife, because we have to do what the husband wants us to do.
Exactly.
As a wife.
I've been to be like that.
Right, right. So to balance it all, I rely on my faith, and my faith tells me that God is first, then it's my husband, then it's my children.
Yeah, and I think also too is having a partner that actually complements who you are. Not only compliment, but not the fact of draining you or taking away, but adding to.
I am Aaron. Well, I call you Jordan, but I am so grateful for my partner. I have not had the most. I come from humble beginnings, but he's never judged me.
Wow.
He brings out the best in me.
Wow.
He treats me with respect.
He
adds value to my life.
You couldn't say it better.
And of course I reciprocate that. How could I not reciprocate that? How could I not be grateful for that?
Wow, that's amazing. Dr. Carjamin, I really appreciate you spending your time coming in, sitting in and having a conversation with us. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Guys, we appreciate you for tuning into Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth. Today's Ask Mr. Know Your Worth segment was brought to you by Out There Clothing, your one-stop shop for your everyday comfortable wear.